Namaste, Jai Bharat. Mankind was always speculative because concerned. Speculative because concerned about something like God. That is someone beyond me. See, all the many things comes into existence on this basis of a question of a transcendental. So we have many texts in the world, especially in Bharat, the Vedas, the Vedantas, and many such things are there, which really tries to understand the transcendental in its multifarious, multiple forms. The second question is, how am I related to the transcendental? Another question which was discussed in Bharatiya knowledge tradition is that how am I related to, or how am I connected to the transcendental, which is ultimately real something. There's a slight difference between the understanding of religion in the philosophy of religion concept. So I should say this also. Sometime back, not very long before, the universities of Chicago, Amsterdam, etc., they started a departments of religion. And of course, naturally, the philosophers, the professors of philosophy were involved in the creation of departments of religion. Now, the first premise was that we should not have a philosophy of religion, but what we should have is philosophies of religions, because there are multiple religions in the world. Today, at that time, what they teach normally as philosophy of religion belongs to a particular religion which is established in a particular area. So they aspired for philosophies of religion, and then they try to understand what is religion. They try to understand, to define religion in their own manner without really resorting to any religion. So where one popular definition, I think I'm mixing up the definitions created by Rudolf Otto and Cassian Rodriguez Aguirre, who we might teach otherwise. They say, Dr. Cassian Aguirre says that religion is the fundamental intentionality of human consciousness towards the sacred. He says it's a fundamental intentionality of human consciousness which implies conscious human speculation towards the sacred. Here a few things are presupposed, especially there is a concept of sacred which very well falls in a typical given framework of understanding of religion and the transcendental. Let it be. I would like to speak about another aspect of understanding of the transcendental, and especially with the especially thinking about the relationship between the self and the transcendental. Self, of course, I'm speaking exclusively in Bharatiya context, which is the Upanishadic context, and where the self, what is spoken in English, is legitimately Atman here, and the ultimate reality is the ultimate reality which is represented through the symbolic expression of Om. Most people will know it, the Omkara, which otherwise is often referred to as Brahman, but not Brahmana, but Brahman. There's a name given, terminology, don't go beyond that. If you go beyond that, it confuses you. Now to speak about this, let me take help of a Shanti mantra from an Upanishad, namely Isha Upanishad. It simply says, Purnam Ada Purnam Idam. Purna means complete whole. Let me call it as complete whole. That, Ada, that. is a complete whole, which is that we will discuss. Purnam idam. This is also a complete whole. See, here I do vigraha of the Sanskrit expression, means breaking it into parts for easy comprehension. Purnam ada, Purnam idam. That is Purna, complete whole. This is also complete whole. Now, what is that? What is that is meant by the expression that, which is ultimately real. The Om, symbolic expression of the ultimate real, which is Brahman, as they say. I would not like to use technical jargons. Let me try to make it as simple as possible. That which is the ultimate real is a complete whole. Of course, there is no difficulty for one to understand that ultimate reality is a complete whole. Now, don't forget and don't confuse that ultimate reality is never called God. Never called God. It is never called he, she, etc. It is simply called as it, that, etc. Tat in Sanskrit, that. When the Guru pronounces to the student Tattvamasi, he also says that. We don't say it's he, she, etc. The deities are, of course, we have our deities, small g gods, goddesses. They get married, they have children, all those things are there. So many stories are there, very interesting stories and very instructive stories at the same time. So that is a complete whole, and this is a complete whole. Now that I have told, which is Brahman, and what is this? You guessed it right. It is Atman which is within me. It is Atman which is within me, which in English is called as self, or sometimes soul. I'm using them as synonyms, though they are really not synonyms. That is this. Here, this is my Atman, or say in English, self. Now, that is a complete whole. Then the mantra, Shanti mantra, says this is also a complete whole. Now comes confusion. People should raise question. Why, when that is a complete whole and this is a complete whole? Of course, we are not gone yet into confusion. That's a complete whole and this is a complete whole. Then says the next line establishes the relationship between Atman and Brahman, that is ultimate reality and myself. Purnat Purnamudachyareyas. From that complete whole, from that Purna, this Purna comes into existence. The Atman comes into existence. Now you will ask this question, you have to ask this question. How can there be a Purna which continues to be Purna when this Purna, my Atman, of course there are so many Atmas in this world, when this Atma comes out of that complete whole, how can that complete whole remain a complete whole continuously? That question can be asked. The next line explains that. Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. It says this complete whole, which is myself, once this self comes out of or rises out of that complete whole, the complete wholes will continue to remain as complete whole, because a complete whole which cannot be complete whole cannot be complete whole if there is a part whole relation. The complete whole cannot afford to have a part whole relation. Now let this be here. Now I'll tell you. Again, one can ask a question. If this comes from that whole shall not remain as whole. That cannot be Purna, because this comes out. Now let's go to Shankara, and then let's see Shankaracharya and Gaudapada, who picks up the point here. The coming out of Atman from Brahman is not really coming out. That is the point. If it really comes out, then the complete whole may be looked at as not complete whole. But the coming out of Atman from that complete whole is not real coming out. It is a temporary coming out, Kshanika coming out, and the real coming out is not real. It is illusion, Maya. Here comes the Mayavada. It only appears to you as different. You are never different. You are one with that. You are one with that. So it remains a Maya. Maya, of course, let me call it as illusion. Or in other ways, it's mostly translated into English as illusion. The coming out is a Maya. So I am really not different from that ultimately real. So this puts you in a beautiful position of you, that's Atman, not being inferior anyway to the ultimate reality, which cannot be called as God. Which cannot be called as God. You cannot be put anyway inferior to that which is ultimately real, because you are that reality itself, though you consider yourself separately, consider yourself separate or different from that ultimate reality which is Maya. And of course later they say Maya is due to avidya, ignorance. And ignorance of what? Ignorance of the true nature of your Atman, that you are that ultimate reality which is explained by Tat Tvamasi. That thou art. Now let's simply take a flight to physics, laws of physics. Both one is the energy concept in physics and the matter concept in physics. Physics very clearly says simply that energy, the total quantum of quantity of energy in the cosmos is constant. At the same time, the total quantity of matter in the cosmos is also constant. Both energy and matter are neither created nor destroyed. They simply change forms from one form to another form. And interestingly, at the same time, no form is permanent. Now a big question comes to our mind. No form is permanent. Both matter and energy keep changing their forms. No form is permanent. They can't remain in one form. In Buddha, it is expressed as Kshanikavada, theory of momentariness. Yes, everything is momentary. Nothing is permanent. So it goes from one form to another form. Now, the real reality with energy and matter, both energy and matter, I am speaking them as together. The real reality with energy and matter, which is formless, is something we can't comprehend. We can't comprehend. We can only comprehend both energy and matter when they acquire or assume some form or the other. But the real, both matter and energy, I am telling, which goes from one form to another form. They go from one form to another form. It's not the case that the total energy in this form gets into the total energy in next form. No, it may get split into different forms. But that which travels from one form to another, what is that? That which travels from one form to another form is a true energy, formless energy. Look at Shankara, who calls it as Nirguna, Nirakara, Nishprabhanja, Neiti, Neiti. He has to say that. Look how closely scientific is Shankara Vedanta. What closely scientific? How perfectly scientific is Shankara Vedanta. Not this, not this. He says it doesn't have qualities, Nirguna. He says Nirakara, it doesn't have Akara, Rupa, form. You cannot say this is it, this is it. He will say, you can only say not this, through negations. Now again look at the Sankhya system of philosophy. They have two principles, Prakriti and Purusha. If you treat Prakriti as energy, if you treat Purusha as energy, and if you treat Prakriti as matter, and what Sankhya says becomes very, very scientific. Whatever cosmos you experience, whatever cosmos you look at, you perceive, is nothing but the permutations and combinations of these matter and energy. Therefore, Purusha and Prakriti. Therefore, Purusha and Prakriti combinations, and then these combinations are taking forms. In real life, takes forms, and they are never permanent. They come into existence at some given point in time and will naturally and automatically cease to exist in another point in time. Then it change forms. It goes on. So even the self, Atman, see, Atman is vivid. It has vivacity and strength built in. We experience a divinity within us when you attempt, and we see divinity within other many humans, and we just explicitly call them as avatars without any hesitation and comfortably. The Hindus go and do pranam to whom he considers as more than him, better than him. That's a way of greeting or offering respect. We go up and shake hands, we touch feet. How better can you explain the relationship between the Atman and the ultimate reality, which is Brahman, which is not God, And again, I'll tell you one more thing. Yeah, it comes to my mind. Good, I will say that now and close this. What is your Atma? If a question is asked in a more technical way, suppose someone tries to ask you, what is a property of Atma? Then of course the answer we find is interesting. That the answer we find is that the property of Atma is pure consciousness. Now, pure consciousness. Now, what is pure consciousness? I would say consciousness without content should be pure consciousness, and consciousness without content immediately will take you to a transcendental level, because all the things that you consider as you belong to the list of contents in the level of Atma. So when your Atma is released from the body, you won't have the identity which you had been holding so dear and near. And what will happen to Atma? A logical thing. It has to go back to the place from where it has come. Because Atma is eternal. Don't say immortal, eternal. So it has to go back to from the place where it has come. Same like energy matter combination. They break and they become formless. The Atman, when it leaves the body, it becomes formless. It goes back to, of course, the Upanishads would say it becomes one with the Brahman, and that we call as moksha. To become one with the Brahman, name is moksha. So look at this Upanishadic Shanti mantra. How beautifully and how correctly and how instructively it is just put in 3-4 lines. The whole picture of truth and reality. We come across all these things. We come across in many places it's written Tat Tumasi, that you, it means Tat, that, you, Tum, you, Asi, you are that. Tat Tumasi. Then some other place you come across another Mahavakya, they call us Mahavakyas. I am that, Aham Brahmasmi, etc., etc., etc. So these are thoughts about the transcendentality. And if when you term the transcendental or ultimate or real, give a name of God, that you amount to reductionism. You actually reduce a very vigorous and vivid and dynamic concept into frame just by calling it as God. And of course, in the Vedic Dharma, gods, goddesses are with small g, and of course, they are all temporary phenomenon for you to see. You look at the concept of time in Bharatiya chronology. We have yugas. Some other time I'll speak about that. We have yugas, and at the end of each yuga, all the deities will get destroyed and recreated. They are not. They are not eternal. They are not eternal. Maybe we can say that immortal within a yuga, within a time period. These things are very interesting if you discuss. Reading will not help you. Don't think that you can just read and comprehend. You have to, you may read, but you have to get the guidance of somebody who had got some hit in his head, hit with the light, hit with the light. So maybe we will meet again with another session of some kind of thoughts. Not necessarily transcendentality it must concern, but maybe politics, maybe our confusion, maybe something that such things. But we shall keep meeting. Till then, Namaste, Jai Bharat, Jai Shri Ram.